I have always felt that we were very much a product of a very finite time in our history. The very fact that we all went and didn't quit and didn't whine, well, we may have whined.
When I came back from a trip once and had bed bugs in my bedroll, and then shortly afterwards, my cook's a little girl came down and slept in my bed, and I had head lice. Then I woke up one morning and there was a rat on the top of my bed and scurried down and off, and I came close to saying, I'm out of here.
When did India 4 arrive in country?
Hey,
September of '60.
September.
Yeah.
So you were there 2 months before Kennedy died.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
right.
And sometimes when they were.
And I don't know about the rest of them, but I just loved John Kennedy.
Somebody came up to our little bungalow where we were staying on campus there and knocked on the door like at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was an Indian merchant, let me know, and he had heard. And by 10 o'clock in the morning, our veranda was full of flowers. From all over Kakinada, people brought flowers. The district collector came, you know, the district chief of police came. There were all kinds of people, because everybody wanted to do condolences.
The thing that we experienced that people back home didn't experience was the intensity of the Indian reaction to it.
Right.
And I think that was one of the things that made me most grateful to India in the whole 2 years.
They would come across it.
Well, there would be,
Yeah.
and should we really go into the village and tell the people what wonderful things there are that they'll never be able to have? You know, and that was a question. And we had
False expectations.
Exactly, and we talked about that a lot.
Some village
of what
India is
we're
just like it was back then.
Oh, it is? Yeah.
There's been no changes.
But you know, in Mysore and Hyderabad, it's just incredible. That's now Silicon Valley, Hyderabad. It's incredibly different.
You know, a lot of times when I get these telemarketing calls,
Yeah.
I'll say, yeah, and I get this silence, and then I say, Telugu Malada, you know.
I usually just throw in a Bahut Shukriya as fast as I can when I'm talking to the AOL person, and then all of a sudden they can fix it.
It's increased the middle class in India.
Yeah.
The outsourcing, and now they're outsourcing, the Indians themselves are outsourcing to the villages, so that the people, like with computer things, they can do it right in the village, and it will lift them up a little bit, and make the middle class out in the villages too.
And people wonder if maybe soon India will be outsourcing to America.
I had an experience. My co-worker from Kakinada contacted me when I retired up here by the phone, found me out over the internet. And then he had gone to like their Institute of Technology in Bangalore, like their MIT or Caltech that's there. There's been a real migration, I think, of those people who had the drive, the ability to get out of the village and had I think there's been real opportunity. And I'm not sure that we didn't impact some on some of that. Some of those people have touched them there.
I think you said he was still using some of your equipment that you left behind.
Oh yeah. When I left to go home then and left India, I gave all this stuff to him. And he actually told me the story that he brought this Craftsman drill back to the United States like 30 years later, because Sears guarantees their Craftsman drill. And he got a new one.
Smart guy.
Well, you're going to have a small bit of that experience Monday night, because I called the owner of the Indian restaurant where we're going. And I've talked to him a couple times about us coming, and it's all set up for us to go there. And he's going to do it, and South Indian food and everything. And I said, he's from Vijayawada, and his mother is there, and the whole family. And I said, there's actually some people who taught and lived in Vijayawada for 2 years with us. And he just giggled, and he was shouting over the restaurant. He was so happy. So you're going to have one of those experiences when we get there.
You may find that some people only want to go to the museum, which is handicap accessible.
Just trying to do a good deed.
But then when you get out and you push the handle, it goes really fast.
We got out in '65. Well, we'd been very close during training and during the time we were in India, even though we were separated across the state of Andhra Pradesh. So we were a very close group, and then all of a sudden we're in New Delhi in 1965, and we go our 33 separate ways. And then there was a period of about 30 years, and getting together in 1993 in New Hampshire, for me, it was just another real highlight of my life, just to see these folks that had kind of been around the same era. A lot of us had probably joined the Peace Corps because of President Kennedy, and we were in India, all of us. Kennedy was shot, and we enjoyed the same music, and we missed the arrival of the Beatles because we were in India, and so we just had many common bonds. It was just amazing to go back and again revisit with those people that instantly you had so much in common with, and that has just grown. I haven't missed a reunion, and I'm sure I never will unless I have some major illness. And you just feel like you're closer involved with what's happening in their lives. We get to the point now where we've had some deaths in the family, and that's going to be an increasing occurrence. And maybe that makes it more immediate for all of us to really experience and enjoy the short times that we have together. I use Indian words for my passwords on various internet sites, and I dabble in magic, and whatever trick I do, I usually say I learned in India, even though it's not the case.
I sort of have this vision of you climbing up, doing the Indian rope trick, and, and disappearing, and saying, "Wow, where did he learn to do that one?"
Little town in India called Tekali. We could save some gas if we drove on this guy's trailer. How's the temperature back there? Are you?
Well, it was the day of the Goldwater-Johnson election, and I had gone with Peter, I think, to USIS to find out about the election, and the woman's, they came up to me and they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear about the Peace Corps volunteer who drowned." And I said, "What Peace Corps volunteer?" And they said, "Oh, I don't know, Cynthia something." And my first reaction was, I said to her, "You're lying to me." I mean, it was really a shock, because Cynthia and I were very close.
Were you there, Brent?
No.
Some of my students said, "Linda, you should know that nobody should swim there because everybody dies there." And that's the kind of thing we don't know, so it was like, oh my.
One of the things that I've certainly noticed in the last few days of being here is the level of both compassion and comfort that people here have around issues of mortality and limitation. I mean, the support that Joanne has in this group, but that everybody has had their own issues of life and death, and it's there's always been sort of a mythology, at least, and maybe the truth, that in the United States, death is sort of the one thing you never talk about. It's even worse than politics and religion.
That's
and
true.
yet this is a group which really seems much more comfortable with those kinds of issues, both for themselves, their parents. I wonder how much of that came out of having been in India, and where there's just a different sense of what life and death is.
My students used to always say to me, "Linda, in my next life, things will be so much better."